Welcome to Grounding Ascension, where we explore topics around activating and integrating our I am presence, coming back to our true selves. I am your host, Celeste Glus. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Grounding Ascension. This is Celeste, your host, and I am really excited today to be sharing this experience with you of portal activations and gateways. So this is actually something that I started experiencing years ago. It's how my entire spiritual awakening happened. And it's taken me a really long time. And that is really an understatement. I'm talking about years for me to wrap my mind around it all, wrap my body and my energy field, and get to this point of saying it's okay, it's normal, it's grounded, and it's the new normal. And it is a big part of what I do with my work. The foundational aspect of my work is this grounding ascension. And this is exactly why I am excited to share this episode with you today, because grounding ascension, the concept in itself, is an oxymoron, right? We are grounding something that is so outside of our quote unquote normal expectations of life. And yet we're living it. If you're listening to this, there's a part of you, whether conscious or unconscious, aware or not, you are living a process called grounding ascension. And it's been quite a ride for me to really digest it, quite literally, physically. I've had a lot of digestive issues, but also digest it, metaphorically, energetically, right? As starseeds, as ascended beings, as awakened souls on this path. There's a lot of things that the people before us have not necessarily made normal, right? It wasn't okay. And also, the planet wasn't at a certain frequency for these things to occur. And so now that as a human evolution, as a human collective, we're moving into this new paradigm, this new way of living and being and seeing the world and each other and ourselves, we are going to start seeing these experiences, I think, more often than not. And so there's two really main objectives, two intentions of creating this podcast for you today. One is to, if you are already experiencing something similar or something extraordinary, something quote unquote unusual or not normal, I want you to know that it's okay. And it's not only okay, it's normal, it's accepted, it's also expected of you to uphold these experiences and to ground them into your being. So again, if you're already experiencing something similar or completely different, but also very abstract and not normal, I want you to stay with it and ground it and own it. And I'm really passionate about that because that's been a really tough thing for me to do. And so I want to be the voice for you to give you that permission slip and say, this is your responsibility moving forward. I wish somebody would have told me that when all of this started for me. So that's one. I'm giving you the permission slip right now with this podcast. And then two, if this is something that's more new to you, or you know someone that is living it, but you yourself are not experiencing it, it's simply to open you up to the possibilities that can occur within these portals and gateways. This is not for you to measure yourself, because a lot of times what is happening is that when I share these experiences, and this is the reason why I don't share them as often, is because people take them almost as a measuring tool. And it's natural. We are human beings and we naturally compare ourselves to the people around us. That is not my intention. There is no way to measure our ascension process other than tapping into our hearts. There are some of us that have this coding inside that have been meant to experience these things. And then there are some of us who don't have this coding and have another kind of coding and are meant to experience another kind of experience or reality during these portals. So in no way am I sharing this with the intention of saying, this is what it's supposed to feel like in a portal. If anything, it's the complete opposite. It's, if you're experiencing this, great, own it. And if you're not, great, own whatever it is that you are feeling during these times. And then maybe you can be the light and the grounding rod for people around you who have not been able to accept it, like my husband has done for me for so long. So I want to make that really, really clear, because this does not make us special, different. It's just, we're all in the same game. We're all in the same playing field. We're all on earth, and we're all experiencing our DNA and our ascension in a myriad of multidimensional ways. And so I just want to clear out any kind of judgment or expectations that we put on ourselves around these portals. And even still, before I even get into it, I want to be also very clear. There are some portals where nothing happens, and nothing is quote unquote, because everything is always happening, right? So there are some portals where physically and energetically, they're very calm and very still. And there's almost like a sense of ease and grace, right? And then there are some portals like what we are in right now. Right now, we just had the 11/11 and 11/22. This is the Thanksgiving weekend in the United States. So it's a massive gateway. It's a rainbow bridge, as a matter of fact, into the end of November, which takes us into the December gateways. So I spoke about all of the gateways and portals that are upon us during the holiday season, wherever you are in the world. And it's all really numerology and astrology. There's a lot of things that come into it. We see it on the physical level as dates and numbers and holidays. So aside from all of that, there are times, like I was saying right now, where these portals can really take a toll on the physical reality. And when I say physical reality, I say the body, the mind, the emotion, the things that we are living moment to moment, the occurrences, the realizations, the circumstances, the opportunities. There's so much that can manifest on the physical because we are in the middle of a gateway. So this is what I want to share with you today. What the process of grounding this light in our bodies, which then it's almost like if you turn on a flashlight. We're basically a flashlight that's turned off most of the time. And then these gateways and portals come in. The light comes in, it turns on our flashlight, and then our light beams out into our reality, and it affects everything around us, right? And as above, so below, as within, so without. So as things outside of us are affected, so are things inside of us. So I hope that this brings a little bit of clarity as to how profound this time and these portals and these gateways can be. And so what I want to do today is explain to you, or share with you, better said, my experience of what this looks like. All right. So this portal gateway, for me, the activations started with the 11/11 opening. That's November 11th. And as usual, I hosted a 3-day group fast, with which I also fasted with the group. And I felt it very strongly upon starting the fast. So I already knew, because I could feel my body slow down a lot more than a typical fast. And what that means is that not only does the body slow down, but the life in which you live, the moment to moment circumstances begin to slow down and reveal themselves to you. It's almost like you start to have pure clarity from the things that you are living moment to moment, if that makes sense. So that's how the fast started with me on November 11th. Now, one of the things that I found tremendously shifting energetically in my body, and this has to do with the cyclical living work that I do with women, is that my menstrual cycle arrived 5 days early. And if you are a woman and you are tracking your cycle or you are in tune with your womb, you probably understand and know that if your cycle arrives 5 days early, at least for me, it's a complete rarity. It's only experienced in my lifetime once. And that was also a massive rewriting at a DNA level. So I knew that something major had shifted inside of me when my period arrived 5 days early. And I certainly took it as a sign for what was coming ahead, which is right now the 11/22 into the December gateway. So that for me was a big door that was opening and a big embracing of the divine feminine, which I work with and I feel very called towards. Now, because I work so deeply with cycles and the divine feminine and these portals, it all happened at the same time. It was like a time collapse and everything just meshed into one big cone of acceleration, right? The divine feminine, the menstrual cycle, the fasting, the portal gateway, everything all of a sudden collapsed and became one. So I immediately felt this. It was like a big shock, a big wave of energy that began to run through my body. And this is something that stayed with me the entire week. So a lot of these portals, we show up for it on the day of, but we're constantly prepping our body way before, right? The 3-day fast begins 3 days before the actual 11/11, 11/22, the actual portal date, because we are prepping our mind, our body, our energy field. It's not just wake up on 11/11, don't eat, and then 11/12, you're eating again. It doesn't work that way. And this is just really important for you to understand because this is something that is happening on a multidimensional level. So when you truly devote yourself to receiving something unknown or higher than your mental, physical, emotional understanding, that thing will come to you. You simply have to show that thing that you're prepping for it, right? You're ready for it. You're open to receive. So I had been fasting. The menstrual cycle came early. I felt it completely shock my entire body. And that, in essence, took like a tsunami wave of energy through the entire week for me to rebalance and recenter, if you could say, my body, my energy field, my emotional field for the entire week. Now, what exactly does that look like and feel like? Well, for example, waking up and feeling like there's something off in the air, but not that it's off in a bad way. It just feels like you cannot actually wake up and do the things that you do on a normal day-to-day basis. So a lot of times when this energy comes into our bodies and shocks our emotional, physical, energetic fields, it brings with it massive change. And so that change requires us to move differently throughout the day. So for example, I would wake up and I couldn't get myself to do the routine thing that I had been doing up until that point. Also, on a moment-to-moment basis, it requires a tremendous amount of presence because there is a lot of emotion and thoughts and visions that can happen at any moment. So for example, if I'm brushing my teeth or I am prepping my tea in the morning, if I center myself and still myself enough, and this is after the fast, by the way, I had already broken the fast. I was already eating again. But again, this was already in that portal energy from 11/11 to 11/22. And prepping tea or just sitting down to get ready for work, I can feel a complete stillness inside my body. And this stillness comes with it information, visions, understandings, deep emotional waves, all of which is encoded with a lot of information. And now when you're in it, like in the moment that it's happening, you can't really make sense of it all. you simply have to experience it. So bear with me as I try to put these experiences into words. It is really hard to do so. And I think that if you've felt something like this before, you totally get it. But if you haven't, just have some patience with me while I try to put it into words. So as these moments come and go, I automatically know in my being that the portal, the gateway, the energy from the cosmos, from within, is speaking and is asking to be heard. It does require a stillness inside. It does require a slowing down. It requires for me to let go of the mental constraints and the things that I think, quote unquote, I need to get done for the day. All of that is just swept to the side. It no longer applies. It's kind of like quantum jump into the multidimensional. The multidimensional doesn't care about putting things in order and lining them up, right? The multidimensional is working on everything at all times. And that's something that I continue to learn, because when we are in these portals and gateways, basically, if you could imagine like a Monopoly setup, right? If you're old enough that you've ever played Monopoly, you have all of these pieces on the puzzle, on the board, right? You have the houses and the money and the cars, and you have all of these pieces on the board. And all of a sudden, it's kind of like the board is flipped up into the air and all of the pieces are now floating in the air. That's exactly what a portal and a gateway feels like. Everything is still moving. It's just moving literally so slow that you can't feel it, but you know it's being taken care of. And the same thing is happening with your emotions, with the sensations in your body, with conversations. All of a sudden you're approaching conversations from a very different state, because there's this very ultra sensory, high level awareness about what is happening in front of you and through you and with you. Another thing that I noticed very strongly is that my ability to be on technology, most specifically on social media, on the computer, it's completely decreased. So during these portals and gateways, it is very hard for me to spend time online or even put myself in front of screens. Now, I'm not naturally a person. I don't watch TV or movies for a myriad of reasons, but most specifically during a portal or a gateway, it is very hard for me to look at a screen, even to look at my phone. So, and I share that because it's a reflection of our energy body becoming extremely sensitive. And as we become more receptive to, quote unquote, the unseen, which is the energy that's coming in, we also become extremely receptive and very sensitive to the physical, right? So any kind of frequency that's being emitted from social media, from screens, from laptops, from TVs, all of that is being magnified, right? You could just imagine if you are feeling in your body something that is unseen to the eye, to the regular physical eye. Imagine what is happening in your brain and in your emotional field and in your energetic field from you actually looking into a real screen or social media platform or a computer or a TV, right? This is a physical thing that's been programmed with intention and manipulation, X, Y, and Z. And so your energy body is taking in so much more than the images. It becomes, your entire reality becomes way more than just physical. You're actually taking in the intentions and the frequencies and the energy behind everything that you are taking in. I hope that makes sense. And obviously, due to the extreme sensitivity that the body and the mind is experiencing, conversations with people, being able to navigate on a day-to-day basis, you have to slow down, at least in my perception. I do need to slow down. I have less interactions with people, and I just make it a point to have a lot more quiet time and stillness time, because there's so much that is coming in, whether I can consciously see it or not. A lot of times I don't even know what's happening until I look back and the gateway is finished, but I can feel it in the moment because I feel extremely sensitive and unable to kind of move quickly or push through life or bring forth a lot of energy into situations and conversations. Now, I share this because in case that you don't necessarily feel all of this so viscerally, but yet perhaps you start to feel during these portals that you do want some quiet time and you do want some alone time, and you're not really sure what that means. I've seen a lot of people start to freak out from this, feeling like they are being isolated or entrapped by their mind, or, all these things that the mind can think of. It's very normal. It's very normal for the body to just want to shut down once in a while and just go within and be quiet and be alone and spend time in nature or in darkness, or, it doesn't mean that you're depressed. And this is something that I want to make very clear, because in the beginning of this process, for me, a lot of times I did think that I was becoming extremely depressed. And we have to be very clear and be able to have the distinction between what feeling like you need to go within and be quiet during a portal and a gateway is, compared to what depression is, right? So if you're just simply feeling like you need to quiet down, then I ask that you honor that and see how that feels for you, especially during the times of portals and gateways, because this is your body rewriting itself. This is the divine feminine. And I say divine feminine because it's, again, who I feel so attuned with, but maybe it's for you something else, right? Don't take that for literal. Take what resonates. But basically for me, it's the divine feminine pulling me into her void and coming back to the creation principles and coming back into the darkness of creation and rewriting the templates from which I live from. And when I say templates, I mean the human templates, the DNA, the light codes that make up my being. So in order for that to happen, of course, you need to be alone. Of course, you need to be quiet. Of course, you can't be exposing yourself to technology and social media as much as you normally would. You don't have the ability to do that because there is something so much deeper and fundamentally important for the human collective happening within you, right? And I just wish that somebody would have told me all of this in the beginning, because I did experience depression because I had no idea what was happening. So if you are experiencing these calls of, I want to be quiet, I want to be alone, I want to sit in the darkness, I want to sit under the sun, go for it. Trust those inklings, whether they're for a few days or even sometimes it could be a few weeks, right? And that leads me to another point I want to share with you, an experience that I had when I just went outside and I sat down and I felt the sun kiss my face. And I closed my eyes and I immediately, basically, in my vision, I disappeared. And this is where I became one with my entire environment. This is something that has been written about through time immemorial. So this is not something that's new. It's simply something that's new, at least to me, from the first times that I experienced it. And again, it's one of those things that, if you're listening to this, it's one of those things that we have to start making it more normal and okay for this to happen, right? So I became one with my environment and I could feel the wind speaking to me. I could feel the sun penetrating through my skin and my auric field. And if you've ever taken my 3-day fast, the sun gazing practice is something that I share with you. It's not just through the eyes, it's through the entire auric field. And so these practices, the more that we do them, the more we embrace them, but also the more we receive from them. So our ability to completely become still and then interact with nature's forces, interact with the living entity that is life, right? The sun, the wind, the air, the plants. All of a sudden, we just unify. We become one. And this is something that during a portal and a gateway, if this is something that's new to you, that is the prime time to be able to experience something like this. And I want to make a note too that I know a lot of people use plant medicine or just certain kind of chemical substances to have these experiences. You don't need any of that. And this new era, this new paradigm that we're walking into right now, we're not walking into it in the future, we're living it right now with every portal that happens. that's an opportunity for you. If this is something that's new to you or something that you are interested in experiencing, you don't need to put something in your body that's outside of you. These chemical substances can be created by your brain and your body. And as our DNA activates and lights up new strands and new codes, these are the new normal experiences that we can all have. And I share that with you bluntly because I want you to experience these things because they're so beautiful. And again, when I first started experiencing them, I thought I was fucking losing my mind. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, I don't want to be one with the wind. I need to be one with my work, right? I need to be one with this physical reality. And it's like, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. This oneness, if you don't start becoming one with your environment, forget it. You don't belong here. And these are the messages that I receive, right? So again, this is just me sharing with you open-heartedly the things that come in and the possibilities that can occur during these gateways and portals, because there is so much light and so much support on an interdimensional reality that is pushing us to experience these things. And this was not me opening sacred space and going outside and calling the four directions. I didn't do anything. I walked outside, I sat down because I was tired, and I closed my eyes, and boom, I'm there. I'm gone. I'm completely connected to source. I'm one with my environment, and I'm receiving messages within a blink of an eye. And again, these portals and gateways are perfect opportunities for you to be able to experience something like this, which is your human birthright. And again, it could look totally different for you. You can have a totally different trip, quote unquote, right? But the idea is, can you open yourself up to experience something that's completely so out of space and time, and yet it's completely one with space and time? And so as the day progressed, I immediately knew, okay, this is happening right now. This is one of those days. I cleared my schedule. I allowed myself to slow down. And sure enough, the things and the experiences that continued that day were very clear. There was a lot of bliss. I mean, pure, full-blown, blissful states of weeping and down on my knees, basically bowing to life, to source, whatever you want to call it. And this is not me becoming, because sometimes what we think of when we're weeping and we're down on our knees, it's like you're like a victim to God or source. This is not that at all. The feeling of bliss coming down to your knees and weeping, you are filled with so much gratitude and your heart is bursted open to such an extent that it's never been felt before, each time more and more and more, that the experience in itself is completely humbling. And that's just it. I mean, there's really no other words for that. There's a complete sense of clarity and a complete surrendering to the unknown, because you feel so held at that moment. I can feel so embraced and one with source consciousness, with God, with I am. And this is the rewriting. These very moments are the rewriting, and you can feel it in your body, because the body will experience all kinds of physical symptoms, the chills, the shaking, the temperature changes, extreme temperature fluctuations. You'll be one moment, I will be sweating because it's so hot in my body. And then the next moment, I'll just almost to the point of shivering because it's so cold in my body. So all of these things are like buttons, if you can imagine, on a computer screen. They're all just being triggered, and they're all being amped up and then turned off, and then amped up and then turned off, right? This also was accompanied, for me specifically, most often it's accompanied with a feeling of sorrow, a feeling of forgetfulness, a feeling of, why have we left the truth? Why have we walked away from the sacred? This is something that's very dear to me and my experiences. I do believe that a big part of my responsibility on earth is to bring back the sacred and just saying that, I can simply start crying right now, because we really have forgotten. We've forgotten what it means for something to be sacred. And with this higher level of light, there's this requirement to look out into the world through the eyes of sacredness. And when we all start to do that more often than not, and I'm not saying I live this 24/7, but to at least start to program our minds and our hearts to look out more often through the eyes of sacredness, of unity, of one source consciousness, of understanding that everything is intertwined and everything deserves to be honored and sacred to the process of exploration and human consciousness and expansion, then we can start to soften into the true frequency of love. But anyway, that sorrow is often what is shown to me on my path. And this can take me into very deep states of sorrow. So I will start to feel sorrow for the collective, for humanity, for things that are playing out, for things that are being cleared on a personal level, on a communal level, on a soul level. Just feeling a lot of sorrow and a lot of forgetfulness. And then also, can we be humble enough to walk back, to get on our feet and walk slowly and courageously back to the true wisdom of life? So that's something that's always coming up for me in portals and gateways, which I can really appreciate and have gratitude towards. Another thing that I experience that I often talk about is the food intake always changes. That is without a doubt. I will see very clearly that in and around these gateways and portals, it's very specific what is happening with my food intake. So one example is the protein intake, whether it shoots up and I am needing to consume much more protein than usual, or it goes all the way down and I don't want to take in any kind of protein. Now, yes, I have a nutrition background, and yes, we can say that every food has protein. What I'm talking about is very highly concentrated forms of protein. In my case, that looks like pumpfu, which is pumpkin seed based tofu. There's no soy in it. It's just pumpkin seeds. Tofu in itself, just pure soybeans, organic soybeans, and tempeh. So those are my highly concentrated forms of protein, aside from beans. And so something like that, I'm either eating a lot more of or completely taking out of my diet. And this is not a mental choice. I do not get to decide what I eat. That's been a massive hurdle for me, coming from a fitness background and a nutrition background and like all of these things around nutrition consulting and holistic living. Like, you need to figure out, no. You don't get to figure out anything. You don't get to choose what you put in your body. At some point, all of that goes away. All of that mental structure goes away. All of the belief systems about food and calories and vitamins, all of that stuff, it's just old. It just doesn't serve anymore. Basically, your intuitive wisdom and knowledge and your soul basically tells you exactly what you need and exactly in what proportion. So the food intake completely changes. And that also goes in regards to the texture of foods that I am able to digest and the quality of food. So maybe I would just be eating salad for 4 days straight and that's all I want. Or maybe I don't eat any salad and all I have is 3-bean chili, right? These are just examples that I'm giving you so that if you are experiencing like completely drastic changes in your food intake, and like me in the beginning, I would freak out because as a nutritionist, I thought, forget it. My body's going to pass out, right? Because this is not according to everything that I've studied. That is all wrong. All of it is just being rewritten. It's going multidimensional. It's going quantum. Our bodies don't follow these rules that we decided as human beings to make up. It doesn't work that way. Quantum DNA is quantum. So the nutrition and the nourishment that you need, obviously, right, taken into consideration the obvious fact that the foods that you're eating at this time, they should all be organic and from the earth, okay? If you are opening up cans of processed food and chips and calling that Ascension food, please check in with yourself and have an honest conversation, right? I'm talking about whole foods, natural to the earth, and clean and pure, always. Another thing that you will notice that I notice is liquid intake. Oftentimes, I either want to have absolutely no liquid intake, or sometimes all I can do is intake teas, preferably non-caffeinated teas. And oftentimes, something that is very common for me is drinking warm milk. It's all plant-based, but I find it to be very soothing for me to have warm milk. And it's just soothing to my energy centers. I often experience a lot of cold air, a lot of cold energy that runs through my body. So heated forms of nutrition for me are always incredibly soothing during the portals and the gateways. And so this leads me into other, I hate to use the word symptoms because they're not symptoms, they're just experiences. So let's just call them experiences during these portals and gateways. Okay, so I already said one, coldness in the throat and in the body. That's a huge one. It's actually happening right now as I speak because we're in the gateway. Another one is firing up of your palms and firing up or a lot of sensations through the sole of your feet. So if you can actually go outside and simply kind of open out wide like a fan, your palms, your hands, and your feet, kind of wiggle your toes, get your feet on the ground. And if you could imagine like breathing in through these energy centers are firing up and activating. So a lot of times you'll have crazy sensations. It's really important to activate these parts of our body. It is not a coincidence that we are being trained to wear closed shoes and also use a cell phone that is cramping up our fingers. This is something as a movement educator I'm seeing a lot of. People have the inability to stretch out their toes and their hands. We need to recover this tremendously. It's very important that we be able to fire up our hands and the sole of our feet because it's our energy centers and they are firing up and activating, and they're very powerful centers of our bodies. So you will, maybe, I definitely do, feel a lot of sensations around these places of my body. Okay, another one is the body, the physical body starts to feel extremely weak and fatigued. It starts to feel almost like if you've ever had a really intense workout and the next day you wake up and you can't move. That's what it feels like, except you don't have that overexhaustion, right? When we overwork the body, that's one thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you wake up, whether you worked out or not, and you feel very weak and fatigued. This is something that happens in every single portal and gateway. Like a part of me doesn't want to embrace that part because I want to be able to have these intense workouts more often. But this is the whole point of the cyclical living and cycle synced workouts that I am creating under Mu, Bar, and Temple, right? So the idea is to really honor the fact that your body needs to shut down. And there's a purpose for that. So when you feel weak and fatigued, we're not supposed to push through that. You can still move. You should absolutely move. And this is why I've created cycle synced workouts, because your body energetically needs to move, but it cannot move the way that you think it needs to move, right? With your prerogative, with your expectations of what you want to get out of a workout. It needs to move in order to ground the higher light levels. So, and that is a little sneak peek into the kind of exercise workouts that I'm doing, right? Yes, it's cycle synced. Yes, it's synced to your workouts, synced to your menstrual cycle. But most importantly, it's synced to the energy that's running through your body at any given moment. So it is very normal to feel fatigued and weak. If you do feel that during portals and gateways, just hydrate a lot, drink a lot of water, take care of yourself, move slowly, and go towards workouts that will replenish you and help you move through the heaviness or the weakness of your body. Another experience is that your eyes will start to feel very heavy and drowsy. That is a sign, at least for me, that it's time to go within. It's time to close my eyes, right? It's time to get off social media and screens and just be really soft and really gentle with what I actually take in through my eyes. The eyes are a very powerful portal. So what we take in visually imprints our energetic field, imprints our subconscious. So all of these things are happening for a reason. And the worst thing you want to do is just drink coffee and force yourself to look at a screen, right? If your eyes start to become heavy and drowsy during these portals and gateways, allow them to be. And ladies, if you wear makeup, try to stay away from a lot of eye makeup during this time. At least for me, it helps me to literally just relax my vision and soften my gaze internally and externally. Another experience is the emotional body comes to the surface, right? That's kind of like obvious from what I've shared with you so far. So there's extreme sensitivity to the environment, to sounds, to interactions, to conversations. There's just extreme sensitivity overall. And it's important to understand that. And also, if you have people around you that you can trust, keep them up to date with your situation, right? Get them to understand what is happening, because a lot of interactions and conversations will be taken in differently than normal. And so it just helps for people around you, at least your closest people, to understand that when they approach you, let them know, if they're not already aware, that your emotional body is very open and ripe and sensitive, and you will literally feel the feeling of ripeness. Like your emotional body will feel like it's just been cut open and exposed. And sometimes I feel it in my energy field, which can feel very intrusive, but also very uncomfortable, because it feels like the physical body, you touch it. And so there's like an ending of the physical body, but it almost feels like your body is just extended and like being pushed out of its perimeters. And so you are actually taking up more space energetically. And this is why you feel like the emotional body is being ripened, because you are expanding your light body. You are becoming larger, taking up more space. And from that, right, it's almost like in order for a new muscle fiber to be built, this is funny, the muscle needs to be cut, right, through expansion. The muscle fiber is cut and then builds on itself. The same thing with the energy body, which is pretty cool. I just put that together right now. So the energy body needs to be almost like cut, and then it grows on itself. And you will feel that, and it feels very uncomfortable. Along with this comes extreme heart sensitivity. You could have probably already guessed that. You start to see and feel every moment from a profound place of deep, deep love, like really intimate, deep understanding. It's like all of a sudden you just see through a different lens. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Like you just get clarity and understanding, the ability to forgive. You have immediate connection to forgiveness, to unconditional gratitude and love. And that is that feeling of sorrow also that comes up for me, at least, where it's like, wow, how come I wasn't able to forgive before? Like all of a sudden there's a veil lifted through your eyes and through your mind and your heart. It's like the veils of the heart start to peel back and everything becomes so clear that you pretty much feel bad for not being able to forgive or see things the way that you're able to see in that moment in time. And the last one I want to share is that there's this feeling of longing to come back to remembering, longing to come back to the sacred, like I mentioned earlier. And a lot of you start seeds. This is something that I experienced in the very beginning of my journey. It was longing to come back home. And that to me would just break me down. Through time, I understood that this longing to come back home is actually a call to go inside. So really coming back to our truth being able to anchor in our truth and then being able to express ourselves through that truth. So if you do resonate with being a starseed, or you do resonate with this feeling of, I need to go back home, your home is inside you. And it's your ability to anchor into that. And not only anchor into that, but to live from that place, that is going to close the gap of coming back home. So for me, I don't feel that need to come back home like I used to, but I feel it's more transformed into come back to the sacred and be that sacred and anchor into that sacred. So that sensation I have found to be really interesting, how it's transformed through time. And so this all leads me to the moment in time where in every single portal and gateway, well, I don't want to say every single one, but almost every single one, there is this moment that just becomes clearly defined for me. And this is part of the personal story that I want to share with you because, again, in case you're experiencing something similar or you are around somebody that is experiencing something similar and perhaps doesn't understand or is not okay or able to embrace the process. So at some point in time during the portal or the gateway, whether it's before, during, and after, remember these gateways don't happen at a certain day and time. They're constantly happening. So oftentimes I will feel this days before the quote unquote day of the portal, right? So I start feeling this like 3 days before the 11/11 and a few days before and after 11/22. So this can happen really at any time. It just depends on your body, on your chemical and DNA and electrical, magnetic, energetic makeup, right? No judgment at all as to how it looks like for you or when it happens. But at some point in time, my body will undoubtedly shut down. I cannot drink anything. I cannot eat anything. My emotional body is so expanded and so ripened that it feels uncomfortable to even be out and about. So I have to be inside, or I have to be in a very sacred and closed off perimeter. And I have to close my eyes. And the overwhelming feeling of needing to close my eyes is how all of this started with the meditative journeys. So going into the internal void is, for me, my process of these portals and gateways, accessing that. I don't like to say the word accessing because it sounds like you need to do a certain technique. Again, there's no technique behind this. It's like what I was explaining earlier. You just go outside and sit down. And from one moment to the next, you inhale, you open your eyes, you exhale, you close your eyes, you're in it, right? This is what these portals and gateways provide for us. So this deep meditative state that I have so intimately intertwined with, that I have fought so persistently through time, at this point, I just embrace it. I accept the fact that it's part of my work here on earth, and I surrender to it. So I simply get my eye mask, which if you experience these things, I highly suggest that you get an eye mask because you want to block out all of the light for your third eye, for the pineal gland, for the hormones and the chemicals that are being released through the brain and through the body. And I go within, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't have a time. Again, this is multidimensional. So I could be 5 minutes. I could be 5 hours. I could be 2 days. Like there's no attachment or commitment to it. It's simply, I'm going in and I'll see you when I get out kind of thing. And this is basically what we're here to do during these gateways and portals. And this is pertaining to you. So whatever it is that you're guided to do, maybe you're just guided to be outdoors, to go hike, or maybe you're just guided to put down your work or take a day off, or whatever it is. I think the bigger lesson behind this and the purpose behind me sharing this is to have the intention of surrender, of not being attached to the outcome, of not knowing and being okay with not knowing. And that's one of the biggest things that I continue to learn with every single portal and gateway that happens, because I don't know what's going to happen that day or those days, right? I may be totally out of commission, or I may be completely needing to be out in the world and helping people and sharing my light, right? So there's just no attachment to what happens, but we have to fully embrace and own what happens. And that I think is really important to know, especially at this time with such a massive gateway and portal amongst us. And also understand that if you are experiencing something like this, or if you do have the ability to take time off around portals and gateways, whether you're experiencing things or not, quote unquote, right? Experiencing things, everything is an experience, right? Allow yourself to perceive your life differently. But we have a responsibility. If you're listening to this, you have a responsibility to anchor something in. And again, this is one of the things that it took me a long time to embrace, because quote unquote, going into the internal void and not having any attachment or expectation of what happens is completely null to the external world. And yet it's making a massive ripple effect on the light encodement of this reality, if that makes any sense to you. So all that we see, all that we live, all that we touch has a multidimensional aspect to it. It's not just physical. And so when we are guided during these portals and gateways to fast or to slow down or to be in reverence, we are making a ripple in an ocean of consciousness. And that's really important for you to take with you. If there's anything that you take from this podcast, is to really honor and hold sacred your ripple of consciousness that you are making for the whole, for the collective. Because every time you honor yourself in this process, you are shifting the dynamic for the collective. And I really want to anchor that into your being at this time. So understanding that through these gateways and portals, there's really nothing that's supposed to happen. And yet everything that happens is divinely orchestrated. It's just perfect for you. And the outcome of these experiences for me, and I just want to be very clear and open about them, because it seems very nice to go into meditation for a few hours or a few days, but it's not that easy. So if you are experiencing that and you need support in that, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to connect with you, because I didn't have support through the process, and that is not something that is easy to navigate and understand. So first and foremost, there are serious side effects that need to be understood from these portals and gateways. First is that you are doing a tremendous amount of clearing on a physical level. So expect for the days and the weeks to follow for things to happen, for situations and circumstances to come up that are not easy to deal with, for conversations and possibilities and opportunities to come up that are not easy to navigate. And what I mean by that is that you will be forced to face your fears. You will be forced to clear your karma. You will be forced to be real about the life that you're living, about the choices that you're making, about the thoughts that you are having. And when I say that with a little bit of strictness inside me, because I do believe that it's a responsibility. So you're not being forced to do anything. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. You're actually just being held responsible for absolutely everything that is in your field. Thoughts, emotions, lifestyle, actions, X, Y, and Z, right? All that is encompassed of who you are as a being. All of that comes to the forefront to be looked at. And aside from that, at least for me and my experiences, I don't ever walk out of a portal the same person that I walked into it, right? We're constantly evolving. And that's very humbling, because we think we know ourselves. And yet these portals and gateways come time after time. Obviously, if you follow the kind of work that I do, they are speeding up, and there's more portals and gateways happening more often if you open yourself to them. So yeah, that means we're constantly evolving. That means we're constantly shifting and shape-shifting and understanding the world from a new lens and a new perspective. But that's a beautiful thing, right? It's like the process of the butterfly. It's the process of the snake shedding its skin. We get to do that more often now. And I say we get to because it's hard. It's not easy. It's very nice to hold on to our ego and hold on to the old way of being. And yet that does not serve any longer. And so the process of shedding, it's nice to see the outcome. It's nice to see the new butterfly and the new snake and the new skin and the new thoughts. But the process of that shedding is very hard and difficult. And so I just want to bring that to the surface so that you understand that it is a process. And physically, what that looks like, after a very deep bout of meditation, I actually just got out of one. And that's what inspired this podcast to be created, because I realized how much it takes from me physically. And I haven't shared that before. And so perhaps people think, oh, well, she's just meditating and then she gets to share it. And it's not that cut and dry. When I get out of meditation, it takes me a very long time to recover. It could take hours, it could take days. My state of being is very different. I have to move through the world very slowly. Again, it's like the butterfly, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And I'm not sure if that's really the right analogy now that I think about it, because the butterfly, I would imagine, spreads its wings and then just flies. Whereas when you come out of meditation or you come out of these experiences, whatever they look like for you, they take a while to integrate. And the body needs to slow down. And when you start to pick up your life again, your routine, when I sit down in front of the computer again, when I sit down in front of my calendar and my schedule, it's never the same. And when I look at what needs to get done or the routine that I built for myself, sometimes I have to clear it all out. And I need to restructure. And I need to see things through different eyes. And again, this process can take hours, it can take days. And it's simply a matter of coming back to the heart. It's simply a matter of becoming softer with yourself, becoming more amiable and more receptive to the process. It's very humbling. If there's one word that I can use for this process, it's very, very humbling, because all that you believe to be who you are and the way that you move through the world is simply exposed and shattered. And you have an opportunity to rebuild that. At least for me, again, this is all my experience, and it is humbling. And so how do you integrate back into your life, into your routine, into your work? You have to be slow with yourself. You have to be soft with yourself. And you have to allow yourself to start from zero over and over again. I am constantly reminded time and time again with every portal that our life is just simply a journey. Our body is borrowed. This entire life that we experience is a creative imagination that we get to create. We are the co-creators of it. And although we are constantly being stripped down to our bare bones, we also get to step up and be the co-creators of this next new thing. And this next new thing is constantly being created every day, every moment, every portal, every gateway. So just simply coming back to the simplicity of it all and being okay with shutting down and reboot, shutting down and reboot, shutting down and reboot, having that humbling experience of it's okay and it's part of this process, and it's also your responsibility. It's part of your journey of bringing forth your higher self, your I am presence, that universal cosmic consciousness that was once lost on our planet and now is coming back. And this is when I get to share with you that a lot of this I do feel and I intuit and I see that it's the Divine Mother coming back. If you are not aware of the Divine Mother Awakening, I did one of my first few podcasts was on the Divine Mother Awakening. And this is because the amount of higher love frequency that is coming into this planet right now, it genuinely, truly, quite honestly, has the potential to rewrite absolutely everything. To rewrite our memories, our belief systems, our thought forms, our behaviors. But the most important part is that we need to be willing. We need to be humble enough to receive the rewriting. And it's not easy, and yet it's our responsibility. If you're listening to this, it's your responsibility to receive the higher love frequency, and it will shift you up and shake you out of the old. And it's here. It's asking us to come back home. It's asking us to come back to remembering. It is absolutely undeniable and unmistakable when you become receptive to these portals and these gateways, they can genuinely rewrite and restructure your entire being at a deep cellular level. So if this is something that you are resonating with, or that you want to experience, or you want to open yourself up to, some of the things that I highly recommend is, one, of course, fasting. I think fasting is one of the easiest. And well, let me be very clear about that. Fasting is not easy, but the process of fasting allows you to make this process a lot easier for you to experience. So if you've never fasted before, highly, highly recommend that. The next group fast will be for the 12/21 massive conjunction gateway that you probably have already heard about. And that is a group fast. So if you are new to fasting, just understand that fasting has to be done appropriately. If you enter or exit a fast in the wrong way, you won't be able to receive the benefits, because it's too abrasive for the body to integrate these higher levels of light and also be detoxing your body. So just understand that you want to fast in the appropriate manner. And if you are interested in that, just check out the link below. Also, a lot of the Ascension practices that I talk about in the Divine I Am course, it's the whole purpose of that course that I created, because it took me so long to wrap my mind around all of this. You could just imagine this short podcast is like a tiny sand dust on the beach of experiences that can happen, right? So in order to ground this into our hearts and start living from a new place, there has to be a structure put into place into your life. So if you're having a hard time integrating or experiencing these things and you're not really sure how to move forward through them or with them, I highly recommend looking into the Divine I Am course. And lastly, of course, meditation and clearing the body, cleaning up the mind and the spirit, simply having a detox diet for a few weeks. These are really simple things, right? Moving the body. One of my next episodes, which I'm really excited about, is movement as medicine, which is a founding principle for Mu, Bar, and Temple. Moving is a form of medicine. And even on the toughest days, like today, I don't have the strength because my body physically is still recovering from the deep meditative state and all of the experiences that I've had with this portal. And yet I still need to move, because if I don't move, what happens is the body and the energy field becomes stagnant. And that's the worst thing that can happen for you at this time. So you want to keep the energy flowing, not only energetically, like spiritually and emotionally, but also physically. That's where it starts. It ends and it starts in the physical. It's the beginning and the end of it all. So you have to make sure that you're moving your body in alignment to what you're experiencing. So these are just basic self-care things that you can do to embrace the light and the frequencies that are coming in through the gateways and through the portals. And I want to leave you today with a few questions that you can sit down with. Maybe you want to pause after each and just ask yourself, journal about them, because these portals and gateways at this time are so profound, especially in this year of 2020. As we step into 2021, we are stepping into the new age of Aquarius. Like, we are really, as a collective, stepping into the new. This is it. This is the moment that humanity has been waiting for. The 2012 that people were talking about and all amped up about, the moment is actually happening now as we step into 2021. So it's just such a massive opportunity for transformation. The way that we move through the world, the way that we will come together as a society, as creators, as thinkers, as evolutionary human beings, it's now. And the more we can become receptive to this understanding that we need to rewrite our structures, and it starts with every single one of us. It's not going to start in the political area. It's not going to start in the outside. It's going to start within us. And so it's just really our responsibility to be the change. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's really true. Like, your thoughts on a moment to moment basis, if you start to fess up to them and really own them, they will become your reality. And you got to catch yourself. You got to start taking responsibility. This is the path of mastery. And this is the time, if there ever was one, to really get real about about how you want to move into this new phase of life, into this new paradigm of humanity. So ask yourself the following questions. What beliefs no longer serve? What belief or belief systems or beliefs did you inherit, did you pick up that no longer serve who you are today and who you want to become for yourself, for those around you, and for the collective? What am I ready to let go of? Because sometimes we know that certain things that we're doing, thinking, showing up for, they're not good for us. They're not helping us, but we continue to show up for them. So what are you ready to let go of today? What will you be ready to let go of in the future? And what needs to happen for you in order to let that thing go? What do you actually want to create? What do you want to be a part of in this new paradigm? As we step into 2021, it's really, really important, because as the veils come down, we are becoming more powerful creators and manifestors. So your thoughts will become actions, which will become creations much quicker. And I'm already seeing this. They become much quicker, physicalized. They become part of our reality so much faster than in the past. So it's very important that we become clear about what do we want to create. And then get clear about how are you going to do that right now. Put this on pause and figure out, how are you going to create that thing that you want to create? Those things that you want to create. Do not limit yourself. Get clear and allow the light, allow this process to unfold and show you how these things will manifest and how these things will become possible in your reality. It's always better to go bigger and allow yourself to be guided than think small and hold yourself back. How can I benefit the whole with my love and natural skills? Right now, what are your natural skills? What are your natural abilities? What do you have so much love for? And how can you provide that as a service to those around you? It's really important that we start to give back, because as we give back, we can receive more. And none of this is, I give to Timmy and Timmy gives to me. It doesn't work that way. We're working and living in a quantum world. I give to Timmy and the energy comes back to me tenfold from wherever the universe decides I need to receive. So I give without any expectations, and then I receive without any expectations. And this is the world that we are stepping into. And then lastly, what fears do you need to overcome to move through the obstacles that are in your way? What fears do you need to face to move through the obstacles that are in the way of you and that next thing that wants to be created and that next type of life that you want to live? Right now, get clear. This is not about New Year's resolutions and all that yakety show, fireworks, glitter kind of stuff. This is really real shit. Take responsibility of your light body, of the human, the God force that you are, the almighty I am presence that is inside of you. Take responsibility for that. That's what these portals and gateways are all about. Owning up and expanding into the massive amounts of light that we are already. We just have to open ourselves to it. I promise you, if you open yourself to it and you become clear, these portals and gateways will give you the rewriting of your codes, of your DNA. They will open you up to new experiences and possibilities. I promise you that. And ladies, our relationship to our womb, our relationship to our fertility is very important that we get very intimate with that. Our ability to create and be the creatrixes and the magnetizers. And I say this to women, this is obviously for men as well, but women have a very specific role in this. It starts with the womb of creation. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Please, if you can, definitely leave a review. Let me know, contact me what you want to listen to, what you're enjoying, what you want to hear more of. And I would love to hear from you if you are experiencing these portals and gateways in a similar way or even in a different way. Until next time, my friends, mwah, happy portal and gateway.